Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious podcast. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously. Yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, a.k.a. motherfucking Boyd. And guess what, guys? Big Bernard's back. All right. Big Bernard.
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome back after your 2-year hiatus from the Ambitchious podcast.
How does it feel to be out of the closet? Literally
Dude.
In the floor of our closet doing the podcast. I was kicked off the podcast because there wasn't any room for me in there.
Dude,
That's what you told me anyways.
If Matt and I and our roly motherfucking poly asses were just scooting and booting around the fucking closet, it would have been, I don't even know what.
Not good.
They would have had to get the jaws of life in there to get us out.
Well, at least you would be fine. Definitely the jaws of life for me.
God.
After my COVID weight.
Yeah. Hey, honey, I gained weight too, but you know what? It was worth every motherfucking glass of bourbon.
Bourbon martinis, everything else.
Oh, cakes and pies, freaking cooking shit every day. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
That's crazy.
So a lot of you bitches out there in Ambitchious land are like, where the fuck is Matt Babine? Where's Big Bernard, as we say out here in Massachusetts? And now that we have the podcast studio up and popping, I said, Big Bernard, you got to come on the podcast and tell the girls what's up.
And I'm thrilled to be on here again. This is awesome.
Well, I'm glad too. And today we're going to be talking to Matty B all about what the fuck he's been up to for the last 2 years and what's been going on and what's going to be going on in the future.
Yeah, it's been crazy, right? So thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was waiting to come back on. I saw the new podcast room. It looks unbelievable. And here I am now.
You owe me like a Chanel bag or something for letting you back on here because this is against my religion. I really didn't want to get on. Matt Babine says before he gets on, he goes, I can feel it beating in my future. I'm like, yup. I'm like, you better be on your best behavior.
New equipment, right? I'm looking at these levels and I go, if my level's aren't right and the sound doesn't sound right, I can see it beating in my future.
No, it's going to be, dude, it's going to be fine. Awesome. So tell us what the hell's been going on for the last 2 years. So let's go back in our hot tub time machine. Back to March. No, actually, let's go back to my birthday, February of 2020.
Yeah, so we went away to New York City for your birthday, and it was unbelievable. It was like probably the best time we've ever had. It was like a 5-day vacation. Stayed right near Central Park at the beautiful Mandarin Orient Hotel, and
it's the Mandarin Oriental. Are you already really doing this to me today? Let's use our big words today,
yes,
Matt.
That's what it was, Mandarin Oriental Hotel. And we had no idea what was going to be coming down the pike. So we were at Broadway. We were going to fine restaurants. We were taking Pearl in the park. Katie was getting massages. And I should have known because I had a massage schedule too, because it was her birthday and I need to get in on it too. And
that's all he knows how to do. He always just uses me.
All of a sudden, I get a call from downstairs in the hotel and they said, "Oh, Mr. Babine, I'm sorry, but your masseuse is not feeling well." Well, little did I know she had COVID. And
yeah, but no one knew what really COVID was.
No, it was called Corona back then, right? Everything was the Corona, coronavirus.
It was called COVID-19 SARS, some bullshit.
that was much later.
Yeah, but we were like, oh God, it's just like another swine flu and a couple people will get diarrhea and we'll all move on with our lives.
That's what we thought. And then we had, we continued to have a blast. I said, well, listen, I don't need to get a massage. You go to the spa. I'll go take Pearl and I'll have a cigar in Central Park and walk around.
And I was like, don't mind if I do. And I was the only person in the spa because I think everyone else was like smart to what was happening in the world.
Unbelievable.
And you guys all know that I don't watch the news. I literally refuse. So I was like, COVID schmovid, we're fine. Let's go fucking live our best life. Let's go watch Beetlejuice. Let's go to freaking all the best restaurants in Boston because that's all I wanted in New York.
Yep.
Sorry. We came home and went to Boston too. God. And listen, we're not like being funny about this, but we're really like recapping the last 2 years of our lives because it was literally my birthday. We went to New York, like Matt is saying, during like the height of freaking when COVID unleashed on the US. And then we came home and Victoria Duke Smolinski and Chloe Parsons and Carlos Velez all came up from Florida to do the cover of my book, to shoot the cover of my book and do my hair and makeup and style me. And they were the last flights out of Boston the week that the world shut down.
Yeah, they were. And it was like, they were like, oh my God, did you guys hear about this coronavirus? What's going on? And you guys were in New York. And I'm like, yeah, we had a great time.
You're like, who cares? I feel amazing.
Who cares? We feel amazing. Little did we know. And then I think that weekend after they left, we went out to have dinner. And then we were sitting at the bar having dinner. And we're looking at the news came on, and the governor of Massachusetts was coming on and saying, hey, we're closing down everything. Businesses are going to be closed. We're going to be quarantined. I'm like, what the hell is a quarantine? What is it?
I don't even know. None of us knew the terminology. Like social distancing. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Social distancing. I have no idea what it is. I mean,
the only time I social distance is when you lay next to me in bed at night.
That's what I thought it was. I said, oh, Jesus, it must be some kind of a sexual
I'm like,
thing.
Stay 6 feet away.
I don't want to give her any kind of new ammunition not to
touch you?
Touch me.
Oh, my God.
Bed, you know?
So we literally closed the whole world down.
Yeah.
And then you and I, who both have in-person companies, didn't know what the fuck to do.
No, next morning, it was Monday morning, and I'm getting calls from, parents in my studio, martial arts studio, saying, what are you going to do? And I'm like, guys, I'm just trying to get my hands around this. And then we decided, probably by like 11 o'clock that morning that we were going to close the gym and the martial arts studio.
But we only thought it was going to be for 2 weeks.
Right. It was 2 weeks.
So you and I were like, oh my God, this is like the vacation we've always wanted. Like, we're just going to stay home for 2 weeks. We're going to hang out. We'll get some projects done around the house.
We're flattening the curve.
2 years later, here we still are.
Yeah, here we still are. But thank God it's a lot better than it was. But we were closed down I was closed down.
Yeah, how long were you closed?
Good 6 months. 6 months solid. Then we started opening, and we had a social distance. And some of the classes I couldn't have because, it's very difficult to social distance 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds.
No
shit.
They
don't know what that means.
Seriously.
They just
the best part of the summer, though, the first part of COVID was I told Matt, I was like, listen, bring home a bag from the studio. Mm-hmm. We're going to do this thing called Zoom. Now, I had been Zooming for a really long time because, 80% of my business is virtual. And he's like, this is crazy, Katie. I'm not doing this. This is nuts. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. And I was like, bring the bag home and we're going to Zoom. And all of the classes are going to be on Zoom. So literally, I would be like white girl wasted drunk, filming my husband on Zoom, doing kickboxing classes, doing little ninja classes, doing junior beginner classes at the martial arts studio. Because if you guys, to catch you up to speed, my husband's a 2-time world champion martial artist. And he owns an incredible martial arts studio called Dojo Sante in Hudson, New Hampshire. And he has children from 3 years old all the way up to
65.
Wow.
That's my oldest student right now.
That's amazing. Yeah. And everyone was literally on Zoom. And then I said, listen, now we're going to pivot again.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have you take all the bags. Because if you guys know anything about martial arts bags, right? In the bottom, it's either
punching bags.
Yeah, punching bags. You have to fill them up with hundreds of gallons of water so that you can kick them and they don't fall over. So there, Matt and I were schlepping at the martial arts studio, dumping all of the bottom of the bags out, hundreds of gallons of water. Then we were telling the clients to come pick the bags up, that we were going to give them the bags totally free to put in their home so they could actually do bag work live on Zoom every day for kickboxing.
And we thought it was going to be like a month or so. Well, 6 months later, that was so smart.
People still have bags at home.
They do.
You better get those goddamn bags.
Well, some people are still using the bags at home. They haven't decided to come back into the studio yet.
Right.
And which is fine. I think it works better for them because they can just go downstairs, get on Zoom, get a workout in, and not have to drive to the studio, especially in the wintertime.
And now let me kind of just shift gears for a second to remind everybody also that my husband also has a day job, which is what?
Well, I'm vice president of a healthcare company.
And what do you specialize in, Matt?
Respiratory.
Oh, my God.
So here I am, locked out of hospitals. I'm sitting at home during the day, Zooming with doctors, talking to case managers, all via Zoom, working with sleep labs. It was not easy.
Everyone's running out of respirators.
Yeah. I mean, it was there was the problem with respirators. The ventilators were all over the place. We were shipping them to Europe because Europe at the time, at the beginning of COVID, where they were really struggling, and especially Italy. We were selling a lot of products to Italy, moving a lot of products to India, all over the world. And it was absolutely crazy.
And then George Floyd was murdered in the middle of all this.
In the middle of that. And then there's riots and Boston's going crazy, as you know. I mean, that summer was absolutely nuts.
Wild.
Absolutely.
I mean, wild. So what do you think was the hardest thing that you have gone through in the last 2 years? If you had to be totally truthfully honest, no fucking around, be vulnerable.
The hardest thing I went through was really the isolation. And I am pretty much a very, what do you call it? I love to read. I love to listen to books.
You're an introvert.
I'm an introvert. And because I have to talk so much in all of my businesses, Katie and I are both, when it's very easy for us to unplug and want to be alone and hang out. And I'll tell you, after about a month or so, a month was great. And then all of a sudden I'm like, this is awful. I need to see people. I like to drive around and go see my clients. I miss my students. I miss my little kids. And, the only thing that I was really grateful for is the studio was able to keep on running. Remember, there was no baseball, basketball,
nothing,
dance.
No.
The kids had absolutely nothing to do. And my families were awesome. They stayed with me all through COVID.
They did.
They stayed and they trained and they made sure that the kids were on Zoom. And you know how hard it is teaching kids, with their TV there and their devices. And they've
been on it all day, right? Because they had remote learning in school. So these poor kids are on Zoom all fucking day.
Yeah.
And then they have to get back on a Zoom. And it was probably the most fun time that they had all day was to get on Zoom for martial arts.
And they get to see their friends, and then they could use the Zoom better than me. So they were saying,
God.
you're on mute. I can't
Still to this day.
So
it's like he never learned one
my
thing.
Kids and my families were absolutely unbelievable through the whole thing. But I think it was really, I know we saved a lot of energy. We saved a lot of time, and we were able to help a lot of families during that crazy time.
Oh my God, sure. Absolutely. You still didn't answer my question though.
What was the question?
If you were a pageant girl right now, you would have fucking lost. You're like the girl that's like the Iraq and the Afghanistan. Matt, what was the hardest thing during the COVID? You didn't even talk about how Karina fucking moved home.
Well, I didn't even get into that.
Jesus. That was the hardest thing for me, by the way. Because this is not about Matt Babine, it's about me.
The hardest thing for me was the isolation and not being able to go to restaurants and see friends and stuff like that.
All the things that we really took for granted.
Yeah, things we took for granted. Just getting together over at someone's house, and then we had people come, our good friends would come over every now and then. We'd have like a social distancing party.
Oh God, can you imagine?
We would sit 10 feet away from each
other.
How
stupid were we?
And we didn't know. I mean, nobody went through this. And even people that I know that are in their 80s and my mentors and so forth and so on, they never went through anything like this. So
I get mad at myself though sometimes. Like I'm a smart bitch. I understand science. I understand how things work. And I can't believe for the first 6 months I would literally sit 10 feet away from my friends and have coffee. And that was scary to me.
It was scary, but it gave us an outlet too, because we did miss a lot of people.
Oh my God.
It was.
And then you remember when we started seeing people again and we were shell shocked. We didn't even know how to act. I was like, do I hug you? Do I kiss you? Do I finger your butthole? Do I what do I do?
The butthole probably would be safe.
Matt's like, you can figure my butthole anytime.
Anytime. But just don't shake hands because they may cough in their hand.
My God.
Everybody's coughing differently. I mean, you go to a restaurant for the first time, when it was still kind of quarantine, you didn't even sneeze. The whole restaurant would be so quiet.
I would clutch my pearls.
Yeah. Remember I had a little cough and I was, we were sitting there and we were having a dinner and I got something in my throat. Katie's looking at me like, would you please stop coughing?
I was like, they're going to take you to the camp. They're going to take you to the camp and they're going to freaking put you to work, dude.
I'm like, come on, relax. It's all right. It's just,
I didn't like it. I was scared.
Dust in my throat.
I know, but everyone was staring at you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Keep it in. He's like, I'm going to explode.
I was turning red.
Now, mind you, in the midst of all this, while we're both, and I'm not even talking about my business. I had to pivot my business literally 180 degrees, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You had to pivot both of your businesses, which was so stressful. There was a time during the first maybe 3 months of the Rona where I was like, I think I'm going to die today. Every day I would just get so overloaded with stress. And then, a lot of people don't understand that yes, I might have more tools and Matt may have more tools than maybe you do to get through these things, but we're still going through hard shit too and difficult stuff. And none of us knew what the hell to do.
No.
And then on top of it, in the midst of all this, we say to our daughter, Karina, who was living in Boston at the time and working, yo, like, you need to come home for a couple weeks. Like, Boston was getting looted. It was a fucking riot, like, every day. It was so dangerous. And she's like, okay. And I was like, bring everything that's important to you, like clothes, like your laptop, da-da-da-da-da-da. She's like, no way, like, whatever. This isn't even a thing. And like, she came home, and then what happened?
She left things at her apartment, so I have to go back to Boston. I was like, what were you thinking? I go, it's absolutely crazy. And when I went back down to Boston, I mean, people are literally running around in the streets, really panicked. I mean, the energy was frenetic with everybody.
And we didn't even know if they were going to close the borders. Remember, they were talking about we can't go over state lines and all this shit.
Absolutely. And
right?
I'm like, I can't believe. Then we get all the way to Boston. And I asked her before we went down there, I said, hey, Karina, do you have your key so we can make sure we get in the apartment?
Bitch.
All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dad, I got it. We get down there and no key to get into her apartment. She goes, it's okay. I know how to get in the back way. There's a way to get in. It's no problem. I'm like,
what every parent wants to hear.
She couldn't get in the back way of this apartment. And I'm like, I got to go all the way back. Needless to say, phase 2, the hottest part of Corona, was dealing with a 22-year-old.
Oh, my God.
Back at home after living at BU for 4 years and living on her own, working for a year.
Yep.
Absolutely was really tough.
She would be up at like 4 o'clock in the morning playing video games with her friends, like overseas, screaming.
I wake up, it's 1:30 in the morning. I just, Katie, I smell something burning. She's up making a pizza. She's like, she thinks this is a vacation. She thinks this is a Corona vacation. So she's up making pizza.
Well, it really was for her because I cooked such good food every day. Like, we were living our best lives. Yeah. And then we really had to get back to her apartment and get her stuff. So Matt,
getting that stuff out of there.
Matt had to hire kind of like a Ray Donovan type of guy to break into her apartment and mad dash and grab all of her shit.
Oh, and her landlord
is from China.
From China. He's Asian, so he's from China. So he's in China. When do you think he's coming back?
Never
for a very long time. Right? So she's unable to talk to him. So I had to hire this company to go actually.
It wasn't a company. It was a thug.
It was a
We
company.
hired a thug. It was called Ray Donovan Smash and Grab. And said that on the fucking truck.
It's a legitimate company.
All right.
And anyways, they went down there and they got all of their stuff. They go, listen, we don't pack things. We just grab the stuff and put it in the car.
Like, throw it in bags.
So I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do with all this stuff? It could be contaminated with the coronavirus.
Oh, my God, help me.
So I said, listen, I go, bring it to the studio. We'll put it down in the basement. So these guys came in, and these guys, they didn't even think Corona existed. I think landscape is the people that were working, strong.
Yeah, they were like, whatever.
They're just like, hey, how you doing? Trying to shake my hand. I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to elbow them.
And by the way, my husband is like the biggest germaphobe before COVID, and he doesn't shake people's hands. He's like Howie Mandel, but like bigger and less weird and more handsome.
I just really never liked shaking hands.
I think we should go back to the old days where people would like bow to each other, good day.
Good day, sir.
Yeah.
Just do that thing with the hand.
Absolutely.
The thing with the hand.
100%.
As you bow.
Yes.
Like the Europeans.
Yes.
That's great.
I think it's great also. So they got her shit, and then she starts going through her shit. Well, guess what? Motherfucking people that she was renting from stole what? Her TV.
She never got her TV. That was gone.
Stole a bunch of shit from her. That. And I was like, you know what, bitch, serves you right, because we told you.
She did get a laptop, though. The guy's got a laptop. They got all the big things. And, she didn't have much anyways, but it was, we got all the things. It was more personal things that she was like, oh, this is really important to me. And, it's.
I was like, bitch, if it was so important to you, you should have got it when we first fucking went down there, and you should have had your goddamn key. You should have we should have just brought it home in the first fucking place.
Absolutely.
By the way, while all this is going on, like I said, none of us knew what Corona was really all about. So my husband, I would order shit from Amazon. And then my husband would make it sit in the fucking garage
for a cool off period.
For 3 days. He was like, it's a cool off period. All of the stuff dies within. I'm like, who said this? Are you Bill Nye, the fucking science guy?
I was reading and listening, and nobody knew. And they said, well, listen,
bro, they still don't know.
2 or 3 days. And then the virus can't last on the surface for more than 3 days.
Christ.
So that wasn't bad enough. Then I got the Lysol spray out there, spraying down
his balls.
All the Amazon boxes.
Using it like Banaka.
I definitely have gone through, what do you call it?
We have post-traumatic stress. I think everyone in the world has post-traumatic stress right now. But the first time, so it was like I cooked for like 6 weeks straight for 3 people, 24/7. Plus I also cooked for Pearl, like homemade from scratch, okay? So I had like a lot of shit on my shoulders. This motherfucker says to me one day, I'm just craving food from outside the house. Like, I love your cooking, but I can't take this anymore, right?
This is 3 months in now.
Yeah.
It was about 3 or 4 months.
Oh, it was? It was that much?
Yeah, it was
oh,
a
God.
long time,
okay, so
we didn't venture out much.
No. So he's like, we're going to take a ride. It was like the biggest thing is we hadn't left the house, right? By the way, I bought a brand new Range Rover right before COVID, and Spirit kept telling me, you don't need a car. You don't need a car. And I'm like, Matt, Spirit keeps telling me that I don't need a car. He's like, what the fuck, Katie? You're a grown-ass woman. Of course you need a fucking car. Yeah. Well, guess what?
Spirit was telling me I was going to be driving her around everywhere she wanted to go.
But I wasn't going anywhere.
Get a car.
My Range Rover has sat in my friggin', I don't even know, in the garage for 2 years now. Yeah. Whoever gets my Range Rover after I give it up because I lease it, honestly, is going to be the luckiest bitch ever. Because I have 17,000 miles on
Nothing.
it. Nothing. Zero. And I'm a clean freak, so I can keep it perfect, right?
It's the best car ever.
Oh my God. So we venture out of the house and we go, I think it was Chinese food. Matt was like, I'm craving Chinese food. So
that's right. It was Chinese food.
So we venture out of the house. There's this little cute place that we go to in Nashua, New Hampshire called Lilac Blossom. They have the best freaking food, right? So we go in. He's like, don't anyone touch anything. So he puts fucking gloves on and he puts a full hazmat suit on and he's Lysoling everything. And he's wouldn't let us take the food out of the boxes. He put them into real our own glass containers, and that's
These
how we had to
have no idea how germs are spread. I'm in the healthcare business. I know how to keep my hands and where my hands go. These guys are itching their eyes, opening packages.
I understand that.
Picking their noses.
And we've both worked at restaurants.
Guys, what are you doing? You can't be doing this.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the people that work at the restaurant. You're talking about me and Karina? That's so rude. I don't pick my nose.
No, you don't pick your nose, but you're itching your eye, you're touching a box. I'm like, my God, you know nothing about contamination.
Whatever. I don't really care.
So I took over. Like a lunatic that I...
It was the most stressful dinner of my entire fucking life. I thought he was going to chew up the food for me like a mommy bird and then spit it into my mouth. That's how stressful it was.
In my mind, my deranged mind, once it got on the plates, there was no longer a problem.
God. So we've been going through this, right, for this whole entire time. Then the fall comes, Karina actually finds a place of her own. She moves up in northern New Hampshire. She's living her best life or whatever.
Has a new job.
Yep.
Everything is going great,
which was awesome. And it was I obviously love her more than life, but
I love it. She summed it up. She goes, Dad, I love you, but I can't stand you. I go, I love you too, and I can't stand you either.
And I know she can't stand me either because she's a slob and I'm a fucking clean freak. And I just get on her all the time. I wouldn't want to live with my mother after I had left college and, done all that either.
5 years living on your own.
But this bitch. You live in Katie motherfucking Boyd's house. You live by Katie motherfucking Boyd's rules.
Absolutely.
And she didn't love that so much. So it was great. She got her own place. We actually started spending more quality time together because she would come over and visit more or whatever. And that was the first year. Now we go into all the political bullshit that happened in January during the whole presidential election. I was a hot fucking mess. I literally thought every day, again, I was going to die. I had a death thing the last 2 years. I was like, what if I die? What if someone comes to my house and kills me? Oh my God. And Matt's like, Katie, that's not going to happen. I'm like, 24/7, right?
I knew we would survive that. I knew we would survive that crazy election stuff, but it was
it was stressful.
It was stressful.
I don't care.
Along with the COVID, and plus all of the riots and all the things that were going on. I mean, everywhere you turn, it's everything we knew was normal was absolutely crazy.
Yeah. No. And honestly, how we're still here is beyond my wildest imagination, because there was many a drunken night where I would get hammered and I would have bonfires in my backyard listening to fucking witch music, and then I would singing Viking Old Norse, and burning shit. And then all the Amazon boxes would be going up in a funeral pyre, and Karina would just look out her window because it overlooked our backyard, and she'd be like,
these guys are
this bitch is gonna kill me.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there, when we were burning, it was all these Amazon boxes that we've been getting Amazon packages.
24. Who wasn't getting Amazon packages? So, okay. So the hardest thing was your isolation. Did you learn any lessons during the last 2 years? Did anything come up for you that you're remembered, you know what? I've been through this before in a past life, or this isn't so bad, or this is actually making me stronger. Did anything come up for you that you felt like you learned something?
I definitely learned that I was wasting a lot of time traveling to do things where I could actually pick up a phone, send an email, or get on a quick Zoom.
Yeah.
And one meeting I had was a big meeting in Connecticut. And from New Hampshire to Connecticut, it's about 2.5 hour drive where I had to go.
Where we live.
From where we live. And I got there and it was actually for a 15-minute meeting. And I'm like, wow, this is after things started to open up. And, he wanted this particular physician wanted me there, which was a great meeting. But I was like, wow, we could have done this so much easier. And it was kind of crazy.
That's right. You drove like almost 3 hours for 15 minutes.
It was like a 15-minute meeting. And I turned around and I came home. But back in the day, that was what you did.
That was every day of your life.
It was always driving in face-to-face meetings. And I think we could say, I learned to save a lot of time. And really, if I am going to meet with somebody, it was going to be something that was going to be, for a longer period of time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else?
I learned how grateful I am for people and, contact and, hugging people and being close to people. I'm still not a big handshaker, but boy, I just missed the.
Don't anyone shake Matt's hand if you meet him.
No, I don't.
Don't anyone. No, don't shake it.
I don't mind shaking hands. All right, but like if we're out to dinner or something like that.
Oh, here we go, guys.
One of the guys knows us. If we go there often or whatever, he comes over. I'm just about to have a shrimp cocktail or something.
Oh my God!
My fingers or whatever, and he comes over and shakes my hand, and I'm like, shit. Now I gotta go wash my hands again. No, I don't know because he's shaking everybody's hands.
Yeah, and he's piling with his nuts, and he's fucking just putting his hands down his pants to scratch his butthole. I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, guys are gross.
Guys, I don't want to shake your hands when I'm eating my calamari. I just want to be left alone.
Why is that? Why do people think that it's a good idea right before you eat your shrimp cocktail to come over and fucking shake your hand?
Shake your hand. And then he goes to another table, and I see him shaking everyone's hand. I go, oh, no, he's coming over. He's going to shake our hands.
Ugh.
Then I have to get my little Purell out.
Oh, my God. No, I carry hand sanitizer in my purse, and Matt will shake the guy's hand, and he'll go, give me the hand sanitizer now. And I'm like, all right. And I have to go in my bag and get the fucking hand sanitizer. It's like a whole rigmarole.
Yeah, but I learned to be grateful for people and being with people. I was also really grateful for, my clients because they were so loyal. They were so grateful, understanding. And everyone was going through it. I think it kind of worked best for everybody because they needed something. I'm talking about my martial arts because they needed somebody to kind of work with their kids and work with them because they weren't able to go to gyms. They weren't able to go anywhere. Everything was shut down. And it was just something, one of my students goes, Sensei Matt, it was just, I looked forward so much to just seeing you every day that you were training.
That's
and
awesome.
It was just like, and that meant a lot to me. That meant so much to me because you kind of take that for granted. You teach a class or you go into a class or whatever, and when it's taken away.
It's so true. Like, I'm so grateful for my clients as well because, all of them could have just been like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah.
And no one did. Not one person. And I have so many friends in the same industry as me that they lost everything. How many martial arts studios have closed down?
So many. Too many. How many
healthcare companies have closed down?
Yeah. Everything.
Right?
I mean, it's across the board. And one client said to me, I was never going to stop going to you Sensei even during COVID because I was just so scared that it wouldn't be open when it was over. And I knew it would be over.
That gives me
This
chills.
is my family at the studio. And we all come in and we all work together and we all have, goals, and it's a very supportive environment where you have here, and it's really special. And I'm like, wow, it sometimes things like this take you back, and you have to kind of think about, wow, I really am on the right path with my company, and really I am hitting my purpose of really changing people's lives.
Right. Is there anything that you're like mad at yourself for or embarrassed by?
I'm embarrassed about the Chinese food. When I had when I started washing the packages, I think back and I'm like, oh my God, how ridiculous was I?
Oh God, I feel so stupid. I feel like, Katie, you're a smart motherfucking bitch. Like you let a year and a half of your life be in fear.
But apparently we weren't the only ones because I was talking to a lot of people and they're like, oh yeah, everything that came in, I would kick it over to the side. I would spray it with
people were washing their fucking groceries, man.
I didn't wash groceries. I kind of I knew, the Lysol, if I ingested it, it probably wouldn't do good.
Oh my God, wait a minute. Let's tell them the story about my ice cream freezer.
And another thing I realized is my wife is really, really wicked smart.
I am. We say
in Massachusetts, wicked smart.
I am.
Because I was able to turn the business right around to a virtual company very quickly because
that's what I do, baby.
That's what you do. And you were like, you're the one who said, hey, take the bags home, have the clients take the bags home. So your business intuition was like right on spot, you know, and it was,
I'm a witch.
It was awesome. Yes.
Because I'm a witch.
Yes, witchy.
What else are you embarrassed of yourself about?
Why is it?
Because I'm just.
Why is it when you just want my embarrassment out?
Yeah.
No, I think that was.
You have nothing to say about your fupa?
I'm sure. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Embarrassed that I got caught up and was like, oh. But we own a gym. I could still go to the gym. And
bro, I own a gym and right? I have a gym in my house.
Studio. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And I know I was in depression too during COVID.
Oh, I had depression.
I just didn't know I was in depression because I'm not a depressed type of person.
Me neither.
And I just had no gumption to do anything other than what I had to do for work. And I would show up for my clients. My clients basically saved me too.
Yes.
Because it gave me my purpose.
Me too.
Even during a crazy, crazy time.
Same.
So it was a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely.
They were like thinking I was helping them, but they were also helping me because if I didn't have anyone to show up for, what would my purpose been during that time? I mean, COVID's been classic outwitting the devil stuff. I mean, if you guys ever read Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil,
I did a podcast about it.
I know Katie's taught it and gone over it a lot. It's definitely a book to study. And that's what we were in. We were in outwitting the devil.
The 6 basic human fears that the devil uses to control the human population were all brought into play during the coronavirus.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Fear of death.
Yeah.
Fear of old age. Because if you're old, you could get really sick and die, right? Yeah. And everyone was like, I can't see my Grammy because I'm going to give her COVID.
Yeah, fear of poverty. Because all these businesses were shutting down.
Fear of loss of love.
Fear of loss of love. I mean, think about all the people that
got canceled.
Have got canceled or divorced because they're just in depressions and problems like that. And kids not being able to go to school and see their friends and live a normal life.
Fear of criticism.
Yeah, fear of criticism.
You don't want to say anything on social media because someone's going to rip your head off.
You get canceled.
You're going to get canceled. You're going to get dragged.
Yeah.
And how many of us have just shut our mouths during this whole time because we're like, fuck. Like, what if we say something and then we lose everything?
Yeah, dragged by the drifters.
Oh, these motherfucking drifters. If you're a drifter and you're listening to this podcast, go fuck yourself.
I don't think drifters pick up this podcast.
They probably do for one, and then they're like, this bitch is crazy. Yeah. I'm going to go back to sleep. I'm going to take the blue pill.
I take the blue pill.
Absolutely. No, I think that and I've been very open and vulnerable about this to my clients and on the podcast and pretty much everything I do, where I think we definitely had depression. We definitely had anxiety. And I think we're all, not just singularly, but as a collective, is going to have post-traumatic stress disorder for a long time, if not the rest of our lives. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was saying to her how, my grandmother, my Nana Pearl, lived through the Depression and, different wars and things. And when I was a little girl, she would reuse aluminum foil. She would use aluminum foil and then she'd wash it and then she'd dry it. And I'd be like, Nana, what the fuck, dude? You're not broke. You can, and she'd be like, why waste it? Or every morsel of food that she ever made was in a Cool Whip container in a lay down refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of lay down refrigerators,
a lot of Cool Whip containers were in my house.
And she would write on it meatballs, turkey soup.
Yeah. It was bad when the Cool Whip container had the meatballs in it and it was still stained from the red spaghetti sauce. Yes. And now there's something else in there.
Yes.
I would be like, Mom, maybe
can we just get some fucking Tupperware, please?
Tupperware like everybody else.
Seriously.
How much Cool Whip are we eating around here?
Oh my God. We always had Cool Whip in the house. Oh my goodness. But my husband, to go back to me being wicked smart. When we were all freaking out because we were like, oh my God, what if we can't get groceries? What if we can't get this? What if we can't get that? I was like, I had wanted a lay down freezer for a really long time because that's the Portuguese dream, right? You have a garden and you freeze all your stuff for the winter or whatever. And I just hadn't bought one yet. And then COVID was gave me that push to do it. But when I finally got smart to it, there was no lay down freezers left. They were all sold out. And the ones that there were around were for a fucking restaurant that served 500 covers a night, it was it was the size of my podcast room.
$22,000.
Yeah. I'm like, this is crazy.
Some kind of a crane to bring it in your house.
So
open the roof.
Oh my God. So I was like, Katie, fucking use your head. I was like, what about an ice cream freezer? So I went on an ice cream restaurant website and bought a legit freezer that they have at fucking Friendlies or they even have Friendlies anymore. Dairy Queen with the sliding doors. And the guys would not bring it up our driveway because our driveway is really steep. They were like, sorry, bitch, you're on your own. So Karina, Matt, and I had like a little push wheel thing.
Yeah. And Katie's trying to shake the gentleman's hand. Thank you so much. Give me the paperwork. I'll sign it.
That was like, put your fucking hand down.
Put your hand down. Don't shake his hand.
I almost lost my mind for a second. So Karina, Matt, and I, in the sweltering summer heat, are pushing like a 500-pound fucking freezer.
I should have lost all my weight just pushing that thing up the hill. I should have lost like 30 pounds just moving that thing.
It was so... But you know what, though? Like, I'm laughing now because that was really fucking fun and really funny.
Yeah.
So there were really good parts to COVID, too. We started our garden.
Yeah.
We did a huge yard project in the front yard, and then we started our second project in the backyard. Like, it wasn't all bad.
No, it wasn't all bad. It was a lot. And the good part was that I got to spend a lot of time, you know, because even though Karina was a pain in the neck sometimes, when is a 23-year-old going to be home usually with you that long and spend time with you? And we had some really good nights. We played games like Katie called it wigging out.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Put wigs on and we'd play board games. We'd be up all night because everything else was closed. So we played board games and, you know, every single night we did something.
We watched
movies together. We watched a series together. You know, like my business partner, Jeremy, was like, I'm sitting there watching Marvel. I watched every single Marvel movie.
I know.
With his 2 kids.
When would you ever have time to do that?
They were both in college. Colleges were shut down. They had some online classes. He's like, the best part is I come home from work and I get to, you know, spend time with my kids.
Absolutely.
You know? So I think there's a lot of silver lining to
100%.
that as well. But
so where are you going now to wrap up our podcast? Like, where are you going now, like, in your life? Like, what's your goals? What's your dreams? What's your aspirations for 2022 and beyond? Big Bernard.
Yeah, Big Bernard's goals. You know, my goal right now, my purpose in life is really to help and motivate and really work with as many children as I possibly can, because I think the 2 years of the isolation and the Zooming and the mask wearing and all of the stuff that came along with this awful pandemic has caused a lot of psychological problems to kids. And I think...
And you're not just saying that. You actually are seeing that, and you know from the parents.
I know for a fact. I mean, you know, I'm very, very plugged into the healthcare community. One of my best friends runs this major hospital chain. And I asked him one day, we were just talking, I said, hey, how are the COVID numbers? And this is recently. This is like maybe about a month ago or so. And he goes, you know, the COVID numbers I'm not really concerned about. I'm concerned about all of the beds that will be taken for pediatric psychiatry and emergency psychiatry. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I go, this is not kids thinking about things like, oh, I don't like my mommy and she did this like 4 years ago.
Or being bullied at school.
These kids are ready to either check out or whatever. I mean, it's emergency psychiatry.
They're having psychotic breaks.
They're having psychotic breaks.
As young as like 4 and 5 years old.
4 or 5 years old. They said it's affecting everyone from 5 years old, 4 and 5 years old, all the way up to the age of 30.
Oh my gosh.
So all of these new things we're going to be dealing with for a long time. And my mission is to help kids, help young adults, help people make sure if I can get through this being a psycho that I am, as far as germs and all these things, and I know I have the tools to be able to help as many people as I can.
So that sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's my mission.
How can people find you, Matt?
They can reach out to me at Dojo Sante Martial Arts in my website, and it's dojosante@gmail.com.
You're also on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram.
You just started Instagramming.
Instagramming again.
Oh,
I'm also on Facebook. Anyway, you want to reach out to me, please do. I'm also have a great virtual program for kids now that we put together over during COVID, the beginning part of COVID. So there's a lot of different ways to work with me, which is good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Any parting words for any of our Ambitchious?
Ambitchious, stay strong. And I'm back. So this is not the last you'll be hearing from me. Big Bernard is back on the podcast.
Jesus, take
Babine's
the wheel.
Again.
I hope that you guys actually do reach out to Matt. So if you have little kids, even if you're not in the southern New Hampshire area, like Matt says, he does a ton of virtual stuff. So just reach out to him. He'd be more than happy to talk. I mean, you're so open and you're so welcoming to everybody that reaches out to you, which I appreciate. Not a cold-ass, icy bitch like me.
You're like the nicest person in the world.
Oh, wow. The check's in the mail, Matt. The check's in the mail. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Ambitchious podcast. I mean, Big Bernard was a tasty treat, let me tell you. And he will be back at it. Let me tell you, it's going to be juicy. It's going to be deep. It's going to be raw. It's going to be real. But in the meantime, don't forget to stay ambitious. Love you guys.